Good afternoon, CFA upper school students, and welcome to Mr. F's Garage. It's Tuesday, March 31st. I hope y'all are enjoying your first asynchronous day and that you're adjusting as best you can. So today, I know you've all been waiting for this on with bated breath, just so excited about it. But today we're going to change oil. Yeah. Changing the oil in the big 1977 F100 pickup truck. Okay, now, before that, bad joke time. Okay, so let's see. I had it. Now it just slipped my mind. Oh, yeah, I remember what it was. Some of you may already heard this at 8 o'clock in the morning when I say hi to you coming from the parking lot. But here it is. How do dinosaurs pay their bills? With Tyrannosaurus checks. They just get worse. They just get worse. Anywho, so today we're going to change the oil in my truck. It's been needing oil change for a while, and I finally went and got the oil before we went into shutdown mode, which is pretty cool. Everything's like 6 feet away. It's really nice how our community's really, done this well. But so here are a few things to know before you want to change your oil. First, it's always nice to have some rubber gloves, black nitrile. Really good to keep your hands from getting too messy. You need a socket or an open-ended wrench to be able to take the nut out of the oil pan to drain it. Handy dandy paper towels, always necessary. Very, very necessary. All right, let's see. You need something to catch the oil in. Yeah, so you need like an oil drain pan. See that yellow guy right there on the floor? Yeah, that's my catch for my oil. Then you'll need a receptacle to put your used oil in. I use that. It's in a trash bag, but it's an old gas can. I just refill it with oil and I take it to AutoZone when it's full and they recycle the oil. Very important. Always recycle your oil. Okay, the other things that you'll need in order to change your oil is fresh oil. And here is exhibit fresh oil. And you'll need the right oil filter. You can easily find out what oil filter you have. You can go to the AutoZone and tell them what kind of car it is, what year. They also have books there that tell you. You look it up by make, model, your number, good to go. I know mine takes the Motorcraft FL1A, and then I have racing oil, but it's really not. It's really made for older cars that have flat tappets in them. So it needs a higher zinc content. Anyhow, so without further ado, let's change the oil. Oh, the other thing that's also nice is to get you an old piece of cardboard so you can lay down on it. Now, some cars you'll have to jack up in order to drain the oil. Luckily, the truck does not. And again, we've got a handy dandy latch. Pop it, open up. And inside of here, what we'll do first is I like to take off the oil filler cap, set it aside to where I can get to it. This allows a little bit better drainage once you undo the oil pan nut to drain the drain nut. Now, my oil filter is right here. Now, some cars it's hard to get to, and that's something that I would suggest you do before you change your oil is find out where your oil filter is, because some of them are a nightmare to get to. And some of them also are a nightmare to get off. There's a handy tip. If you can't, they actually make oil filter wrenches. I don't own them. They're a pain in the rear. Because if mine are ever stuck really, really bad, all I've ever done is take a screwdriver and hammer the screwdriver through the oil filter, makes a mess, and then just twist it and get it loosened up. Now, pro tip from experience. I'm going to show y'all something here. On this oil filter, brand new spanking oil filter, you'll see there's this rubber O-ring here. All right. Very first time I ever changed oil, made a big rookie mistake. Took the oil filter off. There's no telling how long it's been since the oil was changed. And I didn't look at the old oil filter to see if this ring was on it. And what happened was the
this O-ring, this rubber O-ring here had stuck to the block of the engine. And so every time I put another new oil filter on it, it wouldn't seal. And so oil would come pouring out right after I started the engine. So always when you take off your old oil filter, check it, make sure the rubber gasket's on it. If it's not, just look where the oil filter screws into the engine block and you'll see it stuck there, and make sure you just scrape it off. You can pop it off with a screwdriver or something. So anyway, without further ado, let's go underneath the truck and let's get this thing done here. Oop, better get the oil catch here. All right, so there went the old oil slider there. Okay, so we're under ye old truck. All right, I'm gonna put the oil pan down here. Now, how do you find the oil drain nut bolt? Well, it's in your oil pan. It's going to be pretty much the only bolt in the lowest point of your car. A lot of the new cars have a little arrow sticking up to it that says oil drain. Mine's way back here, so I'm going to scooch on back, crack it loose. All righty, let's make a mess. Sometimes you have to get a little bit better position in here, get some oomph on it. You don't want them too tight, but you also don't want them so loose that oil drips out of it. All right, now you want to get your oil catch handy for when it starts dripping oil every which way but loose. All right, I hope y'all can see that. Can you see the oil? Well, if I move my hand, see the oil dripping out of there? You can barely see it because of the light, but it's a stream right there of good old nasty oil. Now, this is when the paper towels come in handy. That's some gross oil right there. Yeah. All right, so what you do now is you wait a little bit for that oil to drain out. Get out. All right. So a few things you might want to do before you start. You probably want to make sure you know what size bolt drain plug you have in the bottom of your oil pan. This one's got a 14 millimeter. And so the drain plug pops right out. And this is what you're looking at when you have your drain plug out. Usually a bolt with what's called a crush washer on it right here. And you want to replace those crush washers about every third or fourth time you're doing this job. Okay, so the next thing you do is simply unscrew the oil filter from the engine block. And I'm going to reposition the oil catch because oil pours out. Whenever you take the oil filter off, oil will come pouring out there as well. And you don't want to make a mess in your driveway, which is another good reason to have cardboard around. Other thing is, how much oil do you put back in your car? Great question. Where would you look? One would know if they looked in the owner's manual of their book, or in my case, the Haynes manual. This joker takes 6 quarts, and it also will tell you what weight of oil. And weights vary, and it says at 10W40, 10W30, OW20. There's all kinds. But your manual, your owner's manual, will tell you which one to do. All right, so what I'm going to do is we got a little drip going now, so I think we're good to take the oil filter off and see if I can do it one-handed. Mother of pearl, nope. All right. let's see, can this sit right here? And if it does, can you see? Maybe. All right. My oil drip pan needs to come a little bit closer to me. All right, here we go. Let's put some oomph on this bad boy. Oomph. All right. When you're putting an oil filter back on, you don't want to over tighten. You want to go as hard as you can, hand tight, and then crank it over about another quarter or half turn. You over crank it, you're going to lose that little O-ring and compromise your filter. All right, there we go. Look, the gasket's still on it. Very good. Okay, so that's out. Now, filling up your car is the reverse of that process. You take your brand new oil filter. Pro tip number 2, get some of your brand new oil, stick your finger in it, rub it around this gasket before you screw it on. It helps. If you have a car where the oil filter goes straight up and down, put a little oil on it. Also, pour some oil. You can see that hole right there. Pour some oil in there before you screw it on. That helps kind of with the start of the engine. So when you're refilling your car with oil, a couple things you want to make sure. Make sure you put the drain plug back in, or you're just going to pour oil right out of your car. Make sure you put your oil filter on. So drain plug first, oil filter second, then pour in your new oil into your oil filler. You can use a funnel. Just make sure that funnel is really clean. Clean it out really good. You don't want any dirt, any grit, anything going into your engine block. So then once you put in the oil, put your oil filler back on, start your vehicle and let it run for a few minutes and just look around underneath it, look around the oil filter, make sure nothing's leaking. Just let it run for, if it's going to leak, it'll leak within the first minute that your car is running most of the time. All right, so this truck here takes 6 quarts, and so I'm going to wait for a few minutes for the rest of this to drip, and I'll put the drain plug back in, the oil filter back on, and then I'll fill it up. And that's how you change your oil. Easy, greasy, mac cheesy. Anybody can do it. All right. Hope you guys have a great day. Miss y'all. And I'll check back in with you tomorrow. Have a great evening. I'll see you